Hey there, everyone. It is Saturday afternoon, and I am anxiously awaiting watching the convoy that's coming up over in LA tonight. I can't wait. It's only noon there, but in the meantime, hey there, Love Not Hate. How are you doing today? I thought, first of all, while I'm waiting for everybody to get in, I wanted to say, oh my goodness. My son went and got the mail for me yesterday, and in the mail, there was a present from, and I'm gonna name you CJ. I don't really know. I've never met you, but I was just so shocked and so honored that in the mail, I opened it up and it was from Amazon, from my Amazon wish list, and it was an arm that attaches, hey, Miss Sunrise Dawn, and it attaches to my wheelchair, so that way, the next time I go get in my wheelchair, I can hook it with my "Hey, Sir Crepitus." I didn't know Aaron was on. So, anyways, I'm just so cool. I am so excited. I can't wait to where I can go outside and I can put that. CJ, you are my hero. Thank you so much. That just that just melted my heart that I received a present from you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh no, love not hate. I'm so sorry for that. Are you okay now? Hopefully it was just something temporary. I know there's something really bad going on. Everybody I know has been sick. Yeah, I'll have to check it out, Sir Crepitus. What was it about? So yeah, as we get everybody on, and I did invite um Audit LA. Yeah, see, now you guys are going to make me curious as to what it was all about. Ooh, scuttle and some tea. Ooh, now I'm gonna have to really go watch that. Well, did any of you guys check out Lori Plays yesterday? Lori Plays had a guest on, Carrie J. Carrie J has a new channel, but she is an attorney from Pennsylvania, and she is an attorney for child abuse and neglect and issues like that. And she had a really great video about the religious services, disrupting a religious service. Oh, yeah, well, you know what? These live streams can be looked at later, or you can watch them while you're sitting in the waiting room, love not hate. Don't let us stop you from going into the ER if you need to. You need to go, especially like if it's a blood clot or something like that. You don't want that to get worse or start to break off. So you need to make sure and take care of you. You are very important and you are loved. So you need to make sure. Okay, I'll quit being a mom. I'll quit being a Grammy too. I don't know how old you are, but you need to go get it checked out. So, anyways, I was watching Carrie J's version um uh, of the legal process of identifying whether or not disrupting a religious service and listening to having somebody go, and if you couldn't afford an investigator, to go yourself. Hey, Audit, I'm gonna add this Audit to the stage.
Hey,
Hello.
excuse me if I'm like sound crazy or coughing. I have a double ear infection right now, and I'm not a happy camper.
Hey, Blow Drill. Hi, Sir Crepitus, Miss Sarah Dawn. Love not hate, love not hate. Get to the ER. Constance June and Miss Sunrise Dawn. Everybody that's on. And Audit, as long I'm glad you're on your antibiotics because you need to get better. So you're going to be able to go over to the
Yes, 'cause I
convoy
need to
today?
get to this thing. Huh?
Are you going to get over to the convoy today?
I can't. I was told not to go anywhere till like probably like at least a day or two. Like just
Oh,
started this stuff. So just started the meds. So so I'll be watching, but I probably won't be able to get over there until I'm hoping by tomorrow or Monday. But I won't be able to see
oh,
the convoy.
definitely quick healing on you. Definitely quick
Yes,
healing.
horrible
So
timing.
I was just explaining to everybody about did you watch Lori Plays yesterday? She is one of the protesters. She's previous law enforcement from down in Clearwater, down in Cultwater.
A cold one. I love
And
it.
so her and Go Poe on the Go, Sir Crepitus, they're all Feral Cheryl. They're all kind of a group that gets together. And Lori Place had a guest on yesterday. Her name is Carrie J. And I don't know that I put the link in there. I will try and put her link into the description. But she had done a video. She is an attorney from Pennsylvania, and she looked up the case about the disruption of a religious service
Mhm.
down in California and started quoting how that would be adjudicated and what would the process be. And part of that was to test whether or not you could actually hear the disturbance on the inside of the building of a religious for the religious service and sending somebody in and what to do on that. And it started me down the rabbit hole of, well, that's part of the dormitory section where they were in front of, not where the auditing section is or where the auditorium is. And how does that play out in all of the different requirements for code, for city code, for building codes, for the ADA, EEOC? I'm just kind of going through, and a lot of times I have um, follow the bouncing ball of my brain for my ADD, ADHD.
And we love
And so,
that because it's always effective.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So then that got me down the rabbit trail of looking at the different building codes. And I had seen Natalie's this morning about all the new PSAs that are out that Scientology put out. And I was just popping through those. And one of them was anti-discrimination PSA, which absolutely made me crack the hell up, okay? Because hello, they don't like people with disabilities.
Mm-mm.
Thanks, Blow Drill. So he's saying only two buildings are delivering pastoral counseling, are the ASHO and the AOLA. So which one is the ASHO? The AOLA is over by the end of the street. That's where the van turns in all the
Yes,
time,
I've
correct?
seen that right at the corner there. But I think
Yep.
I always see the ministerial vans at North Hollywood very often too. So I'm wondering if they're doing it there. But can I add to like guess can you hear me? I keep getting all these
Sure. Yeah,
messages.
yeah. Yeah, I was just
Another
trying to
thing
read
to
this.
add to it with the when it comes to the log, because I know that they think they're being really cute and they're like, oh, you can't do this outside of a church, or they just think they're cute. But I did look into City of LA ordinances about all this stuff, and here it turns out that it's not just when you're in service. According to LA, they make it even stricter. And I don't know if I should be saying this. I don't want to give them ammunition, but it's something that we need to work on getting changed. That you can't even do it within 200 feet of just a church in that's being that's in, I guess, operation, or that's, or on Sunday period. And they have like a lot of these restrictions on, like, even there's parts of the city where you can't do it at all. And I think that I'm not sure if the test center falls within that, where you can never do it, but it's because of, like Hollywood Boulevard. You would get these, they used to have where they would go on the loudspeakers and advertising whatever, and it was just a lot of noise complaints. So I know that the point is to try to, it's not so much that it's a church, but they're trying to, I guess, get rid of, lower the noise amplification. So it's interesting that there's like conflicts even within. We were talking about that before, how one hand doesn't know what the other hand is doing,
And
and
sometimes it's not even the hand, it's the foot. The foot has no idea what the head is doing.
true,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, the hands definitely don't know what the brain is doing with some of this stuff, but
yeah,
so that's an interesting thing we need to kind of go to, and that's what, me, like, we were working behind the scenes a lot, and this is the stuff I want to get done, is trying to change the laws, the wording, the municipals, going before city council, and just
right.
act, being activists for proper laws, including them, like, being able to just close all these sidewalks that are unnecessary. Like, we just need some words in play that favor the community, and not like, everything, it seems like nothing favors the people, it all seems to favor the
r-
entities.
Right. Well, I know there's a couple of comments here. One, Sir Crepitus is saying about the California Penal Code, the one element that everybody forgets, and this is one of the first things that Carrie J had talked about, was the intent, that you would have to prove intent. And
Not with the when I was and I would love a lawyer to read it, but when I read the LA City one, it has nothing to do with intent. There's no intent involved. It's just a flat 200 feet. So you can, because
correct,
we can have the
correct.
state
And
law, but city can even make it more strict, and they did.
they actually they brought it down to 150 foot for LA.
Wow, I didn't even know that. I
Uh,
was looking at the 200, so I
yeah,
didn't get
they
that far
just
down the
changed
rabbit
it.
hole.
So then, and then Blow Drill said that the Astro building is the one with the lion out in front. Thank you. That helps me. I'll remember that. So the
Wait, where at? Wait,
auditorium,
wait, which
though,
is the one with the line? Wait, the Astral building?
the Astro, and then the AOLA building is the one down on the corner of
Yeah, I know where that one is, but I still don't
okay.
know the other one. Is it all in
And
the same campus?
the one with the lion in front of it is the blue building as you're going down Ron Hubbard Way. If you're going, I think north, it's on the left-hand side. It's got the big
Oh,
that old ugly lion.
oh,
That's
the
the Astro
lion.
building.
I think you said lion. Okay, I know what you mean now. The lion. Yeah, that's right before the other one. Okay.
And then the auditorium is up near the hospital, correct? That's where they all go in, and that's where they do the video showings. They have the parking lot that
Yeah, that's
the
on Sunset,
hospital
off
uses.
Sunset.
Yeah, that's the auditorium.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to put the lay of the land here. So when I'm thinking through all of this, first of all, discrimination. I'm gonna read to you the discrimination, the description of this video. Don't discriminate. It's human right number 2. No matter our differences, no distinction shall be made on the basis of race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status. Wait a minute. That's like the definition of EEO from equal opportunity from the 60s. What happened to disability? There's no disability on that EEO's description.
Yeah,
I
because
wonder why.
I wonder why. Because what they say, the able are there to help the abled, right? Something like that.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, and so you watch the video and it's really just a real bite, it's just a quick little video. It's no big deal there. But even though it's a religious organization, if they have a dormitory, the dormitories and the public area still have to meet fair housing and Americans with Disabilities Act. And they still have to meet EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Act. None of those areas are, and as I said, sometimes the rabbit just kind of jumps through my brain. Just keep up with me, we'll tie it all together. So I'm thinking, how many of those units? Okay, you have the hotel. The hotel still needs to have accessible units, and the dormitories still have to have accessible units. I don't care whether they're religious or not, they still have to meet fair housing. And the sidewalks still have to meet fair housing, which fair housing in multi-unit dwellings is 36 inches except for the doorway. The doorway can be up to 40, it has to be up to 48 inches. But the sidewalks themselves, they can be scrunched down like with those planners. Everybody was freaking out about those
Yeah,
planners
they're
yesterday. Then
beyond, definitely
last night,
beyond 36 inches. I went out. It's definitely,
they were all screaming, "Get on it
yeah.
out here, get on it." I'm like, no, 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 no. They're
That's
fine.
the, yeah, that's
For
one of the least of the problems. There's so many other problems that
for
we need to fight.
for a multi-unit dwelling fair housing situation, yeah, it's fine. But is it a multi-dwelling, or were they yelling and they disturbed a religious service because those are religious units? If they're religious units, they have to be at least 48 inches up to 60 inches. 60 inches is the 5 foot is the norm. That's what it's supposed to be. So
Hmm.
what are they? They
You
seem
know what? Then maybe we have something here, because they're definitely, those planners are not 5 to 6 feet. I'd say they're probably 4.
no, but the I'm what I'm noticing and what this whole spiel is about is that Church of Scientology conveniently calls themselves whatever they need to be to make sure that they fit the requirements. They are a church of convenience. They have requirements of convenience. Yeah, I don't think that they probably kicked that poor lady out last night that had the walker, and certainly Audit and I wouldn't even be probably be asked um
No.
into their services because we both use a wheelchair. Okay, so let's take it one thing further. So you're looking at those sidewalks and the road closures. And what about other people with disabilities? There is there is no signage whatsoever stating that the sidewalks are closed, which that's a law. They're supposed to. There's no alternate path signage. There's no rechimes. There's no for a person the chirps. When you're going across, you're blind, you need to go across the street. Don't they have chirps?
It depends. Like, that's something that, like, they did in my, like, where I, in my area, which it's now been removed. So I think it's something that if you require that as an accommodation, I think they will put that in there. But it's not everywhere. It's hardly
Okay,
anywhere.
so how the hell would a blind person know that the sidewalk's closed?
Yeah. Well, you know what they're going to do? What they did to us is, like, that you're met by two cops, and you have to hope they're pleasant. And possibly, like I was the first time around. I asked if I could be arrested if I continue on my path, and she said, "You risk, not that I would be, but I risk it." And so I said, "Okay, I'm going to go around all the other sides, on the other side, all the way around, because I don't know how, if it's accessible or not." I went around all three of the fountains, by Fountain crossing over to Catalina is not accessible. There's no curb cut out on the crosswalk. And then down Catalina on the other side, there's so overgrown bushes that it pushes you onto the off the sidewalk. That's not accessible in my opinion, especially if it's after rain and it's soggy. And then from Catalina to Sunset, there's no light. It's a busy, busy street. There's no street lights. I don't even think there's a curb cut out going there either, and there's no crosswalk. So it's you're taking your life in your hands, literally crossing from Catalina over Sunset. So I went
Well,
back.
that was our discussion the day that you were there, and I was kind
Mhm.
of just kind of in your ear as you were going through there, is that, and Joy, I'll get to your question in just a second. Is that if I were a visitor there and I happened to be at a hotel or over at the hospital visiting somebody and needed to get around there, there's no signage, there's no alternate path signage, it's not legal. And me as a visitor, I would be going, I, I'd have I'd be doing throat punches by the time I got to the end of the road. There was no curb cut. I'd have to go all the way freaking back, kill my shoulders, waste all that time, or have ask somebody to pop me off a curb. I would be
And I
livid.
can't do that. I'm in a motorized chair. And Sir Crepitus, yes, I did try to go through. Sorry, I didn't mean but to answer that
Nope.
question, I did try to go through, because there was no signage or anything. And the officer, I have a whole video on that in our conversation, and she was a child sex abuse detective, and which was crazy. And she just had no concern or care about the blood money. But yeah, they said I had to, and she told me, she goes, you risk arrest. And but she said on the other side, all the way around, it's accessible. She said, I have her on tape saying it's accessible. I went around, it's not accessible. Completely lied to.
No, it's not.
So I went back to the
It,
supervisor, and so now this time, like the last time I went around, I didn't meet any real resistance other than for them to confront me saying they have a permit. And I said, well, yes, but it's inaccessible on those three sides. So I said, I will cross the street here on L. Ron Hubbard because it is accessible. But the other three streets, I will be traveling on the closed sidewalks because it's not accessible. And I'm not, I don't want to think people think, oh, you're a Karen. No, it's not for me. I wouldn't, it's for the ADA community. It's like we have to look out for anyone in that situation. And I did see someone on the other side kind of struggling in a chair, being pushed in a push chair, and I yelled out to them. I'm like, you can come on this side, you can come over here. But they don't let you know that.
it's ridiculous, and it's ridiculous that you would have to search out a police or a security or somebody to go about your day. That is just total
Yes.
discrimination that you should have to find somebody. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
That's why we're there to test it. And Joy, that's what I'm working on. That's what, we're all, a couple of us we are working on that. It's just, but it's not, unfortunately, something that happens overnight. But that's the fight right now, and it combines Scientology with the ADA, and that may be one of the ways to take, to put a huge, dent in their armor.
Yeah. Well, okay, so Joy asked a question. They manipulate to fit into whatever box fits their need. Yep. How do we find someone willing to ensure that Scientology is compliant with the ADA? Well, one, Scientology as a entity is not subject to the Americans with Disabilities Act. They're a church under federal law is not under that. Now, LA has a new directive that they have, and we can work with unfortunately, there's no like ADA police. There's no enforcement agency other than the Department of Justice federally, and your city the LA has the Commission on Disabilities. Is that what
Department
it
of
is?
Disability,
Department of
DOD.
Disability. So that's somebody you could make a complaint to. However, for enforcement itself, they're really it's There really isn't somebody you can go, hey, unless it happens to be the Department of Public Works. And we talked about this earlier, if it's a curb cutout or something or code violation for a business, that's different than a church.
But I have a question about that. Okay, like, okay, the church itself does not have to be ADA compliant, but when they're doing these permits, okay, they're taking the sidewalks, which in LA, the owner of the property is responsible for the sidewalks. So does that mean that they don't have to fix their sidewalks like as anyone
Nope,
else would have to because
nope.
they're
The
ADA,
the
and so
the
we can't even
sidewalk
go after
is
that?
nope. The sidewalk is Public Works. The sidewalks is um,
But not for
transit.
fixing it. Not in LA. LA requires the owner of the property to fix the easements.
They still have to go under the FTA laws for path of travel. So the Federal Transit Administration has come up with path of travel requirements for roadways, sidewalks, pathways, paths of travel. That is, no matter if they're a religious organization or not, that is a public, it's still
So they
public.
have to maintain it because they're
They
not.
they have to maintain it.
And it's Scientology's responsibility because they own the blue building. So that means they are responsible for the maintenance of all the sidewalks surrounding it. They're not responsible, like they can't just, they still need permits to shut it down, but it's not the city that fixes the sidewalks. It is the
So
owner. So,
when you do your loops, one of the things, because I'm just really attuned to this, and excuse me, my biscuits are hurting, so I'm scooching a lot. But one of the things I'm really attuned to is watching the sidewalks and stuff, because I'm always having to look for the dang cracks in the road and cracks in the
mhm.
sidewalk. On the back side of the auditorium, so you have the side where the L. Ron Hubbard Way, the other street.
Catalina,
Okay, Catalina, that sidewalk,
it's horrible.
I'd be on my nose
But
every other
it's
step.
it's the owner of the building's responsibility to fix it.
So the problem is that they can do the same thing as what I told you about the city. They can do a plan of reform. So they can say, oh, we're going to fix that sidewalk by 2030. It's in our budget to fix it in a year. But you can ask for that plan of reform.
I
The
wonder if they've
plan of
even
re
done it because I don't even see the city. The city has zero interest in fixing any of this stuff. So I wonder if we can push for that. That might be something to push for.
It could be. And it's something to be a pain in the ass about.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be a Karen, that's a good place to be
Well,
a
yeah, I'm
Karen.
willing to be a Karen for. I'm willing to take that on the title for for the community because it's just really hard to get around anyway. But when you see people, deliberately, especially if they have the money to fix that sidewalk and they just don't because they don't care, but they can shut it down whenever they want. That sticks
So
to my craw.
remember in your schooling and in your history of ADA and compliance and all of that, when they first started coming out, that places had to make repairs and or accommodations unless it caused them a burden, a
Mm.
financial burden. So if you say that this is a burden to me, this crack, every time I wheel past it in my chair, I am at the risk of being thrown out, and they do not fix it, and they can't show that it would be a burden financially, then they would be against the law, and then you would be able to bring suit. In fact, the DOJ probably would love to do that because they like those simple ones. In Department of Justice, they have like a real quick form you can do those complaints to.
Well, I did a complaint after the North Hollywood one, and they said, "Thank you for bringing it to our attention. Like, we're not going to do anything right now, but we will keep our ears open, on
So
this issue."
so then and that was the DOJ.
Yes.
Okay, so the next step would be to take that response to your Department of Disabilities and say, they need to fix this. Here was the DOJ response. This is a possible harm to me. They need to fix it unless they can prove that it would be a burden.
Well, you know what? This
They
is separate. This
cannot
was the
prove
North
that it's going to
Hollywood
be a burden.
one. It wasn't about the broken sidewalk. So this would be a new one. So maybe I need to put in a new complaint based on this building and the broken sidewalk and see where we go.
Right.
Is it like
So
that?
that's exactly, now the problem is that, like, I couldn't do it because I'm not directly related, and it doesn't harm me. It doesn't hurt me by watching. Well, it does hurt me to watch you do that, but you know what I mean? It doesn't
Yeah.
affect me direct. So it has to be a direct
Then I'll do it. I'll do
effect.
it today.
So you would have to do that, or somebody else. Somebody with a cane walking along that, you know, it that whole thing is ridiculous. But and the planners, now the planners, to get back to that, if
They're
I were
ugly.
a blind person walking down that sidewalk, that would be a bitch. I mean, aren't blind people accepted into these, what about the ladies with the walker or the older people? It just floors me that they truly have completely left out people with disabilities, because it's not just people in wheelchairs. It's people that are blind, people that are deaf, people that
Right.
are have mental, you know, hesitancies. That's not the right word, but you know what I'm talking about. I mean,
Yes.
they've
Well, you know,
completely, and the elderly.
there's enough room to pass. It's very broad in the sense still, but the change would be something that would really could affect somebody who is blind or sight impaired. You know, I mean, absolutely. Because you'd be if you're used to all your, going up and down there. And I did see somebody with a walking cane there one of the past few times that I've been. Like that could be an issue that it's because they're so solid and they're and it's a new addition.
Okay, well, L. Ron Hubbard Way is right across the street from a hospital, and a hospital has different requirements than anybody else. They have higher requirements. They have a higher bar.
That's on
And
Sunset.
when
The hospital's on Sunset.
uh, okay, that doesn't matter. If people
Mhm.
are visiting the hospital or using the hospital and they need to get around, they still need a correct path of travel. What if they were visiting and they needed to walk from down the road? You still have to have correct and legitimate path of travel to use that hospital. You can't, it just floors me what they let
Yeah,
them
I
get
mean,
away with
and
on
their
this.
eyes. I don't see how the community would like it because see, to me, it shows that they feel that they own both sidewalks. I mean, you do in a sense for repair, but at the same time, it is a public right of way, and I think things still have to be permitted if you're going to put it in a sidewalk. And so, I want to know how that process worked for them to be able to even, I'm sorry, to
It's,
put it there and maintain it there.
there is a, let me, it's called the Complete Streets Design Guide that I found, and it's got a
For Streets LA.
whole, nope, it's got a whole section on the sidewalk area. It's a PDF. Um,
But it's
da,
LA
da, da, da.
centric. I mean, it's for LA itself or just
Yep,
overall.
it's for
Okay.
LA,
Okay.
LA itself, and it's a whole thing, and there's a whole section here. I'll put the
I'd like to see that.
copy. Let me put a. I don't know how to do it while I'm not in there. When I get out of here, I'll put it in the description or I'll email it to you. There's a whole thing on streets and sidewalks and planners and La Poubelle, the little blue thingy out
The
there,
tent.
and all of that, and
Mhm.
it's all
Well, all
the
that
legal
laws
stuff
have
for it.
changed too because now they just recently passed. where they are permanently extending the curb dining and stuff, because that happened during COVID, the alfresco dining, and so they just passed a municipal thing that where they can do that indefinite. So I don't know if that came before then. We may have to add what the new rules are.
Yeah. Well, I don't I'll take a look at it
It'd be good for
when we're done with this.
presentation stuff.
Yeah, I think it was like in 2015 is when it was
Oh, okay.
brought
No,
in.
this is just
So,
brand new.
yeah. So, but it's still it's part of their policy about all their different streets and sidewalks and stuff like that. So, there's just to kind of tether back to the disturbing a religious claim is that if that truly isn't, if that's just the dormitory and they're not providing religious services, the audits or anything else, because they can call audits whatever they want. They call them religious services, who are we to decide, really? Um, but they're not providing those in those buildings where the dormitories are. So how are they, they can't be disturbing a religious service.
Well, they're definitely abusing, the little glimmer of hope, or that little, what they found. They're abusing it, and I don't think, and that's what I'm hoping, that Jay and DOA, that they're, if, whether they're pro se or they have an attorney, really says you're not having services from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. But even with the LA City, and we need to get that change where it's within 200 feet. So now we have to measure everything, or 150 feet. But yeah, I just hope they really push on that they are doing it in bad faith, because that is not going on.
Right.
But you
Well,
can't
one of
even
the
do it on
things that,
Sunday. I didn't know that. In LA, you cannot use a megaphone on Sunday anywhere in the city at all.
unless you're a religious service,
No, you can't use the municipal code says you're not allowed to use any kind of amplified, like, megaphone on Sundays. Well, it didn't I
unless
didn't
you're a
see the
church. If
exception. I'd
you're a
like to
church,
find,
you can.
really.
Yeah, if
Okay,
you're a church, you can.
I didn't see that, but I would love to see that too, because then that's interesting. Because then maybe if he isn't he DOA ordained, does church
Well,
have to be
yeah.
within a building? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, so it's
That
interesting.
would be that would be like the Catholics and the Protestants all arguing over who gets to use the megaphone on the corner.
Yeah,
That would be
yeah.
actually
That's
a
probably
fun
why they
fight.
stopped it on Sundays. I know they do it outside the train stations a lot, and or in Hollywood Boulevard, and I think there is a lot of noise complaints because of the airplanes. It's a noisy city, and so I know there's a lot of pushback on that. But now that Scientology found a little loophole that they're benefiting by,
Hmm.
which I don't like.
Hmm. But I guess what I'm saying is like somebody said, is they definitely use whatever legality they can, whatever loophole they can, in order to suit their convenience of getting
Hmm.
by. And
And they do it by the letter of the law, not the spirit of it too. Like they, for the protesters, but when it comes to them, like, everyone honors the spirit of the law, and that's not right either.
yeah, but when we do it, we're Karens.
Right. Well, and at the neighborhood council meeting, I brought up, to senior lead officer White, that it is to me. So I think that should have made the news almost, that there's actually a human being that was arrested, taken in for a noise complaint. Like, you can't even get the police. The police laugh at you when you say, how, what's the response time for a noise complaint? When are you going to come? When or when you call a noise complaint, they basically laugh in your face. But they're able to get somebody pulled out of their car, their friends pushed, and taken off to jail for a noise complaint. Like, that is unheard of. I bet that is the first time it's ever happened. And I'm wondering, and that alone, that needs to be. That's a bigger news story than what the call that came in for Senior Lead Officer White,
Okay, yeah, that was kind of funny.
which is probably, I'm sure, a prank call, but still, it was funny.
Yeah, well, nobody mentioned the call, like, right after that either. I had called in to talk about the fair housing, um, on those units to see, because 'cause I'm still kinda wondering if those are Scientology front groups that are involved with that. That wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. But I don't care, even if they're a religious organization, if they have multi-dwelling units, they still have, I don't care who they're owned by, they still have to follow fair housing. And fair
Yeah,
housing is the same thing as the EEOC with those, equal opportunity identifiers, which includes disabilities. And I see that really negated in LA big time.
well, they think that
I'm
they trumped the
surprised they get away
federal.
with it
Well,
because
because yeah,
fair housing is anything over 4 units. And even if it's like 4 condos, 4 condos, if they have more than 4 condos, that kicks in the fair housing. And fair housing is is a huge, I see that as a huge violation in LA.
for sure, yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and that's another thing that we can attack. As we try to do bit by bit and get in the city to listen, get the different branches, the different um, air, entities within the city to listen. But the hard part about them is that they always, if you ever try to call anywhere in LA, they're like, oh, well, we handle permits, but not that kind of permits, or we handle this, but not this. So, and they bounce you around and you end up talking to 10 people and none of them have any idea who does what. It is the most, it's unbelievable until you start trying to dig it out, go through it and try to figure out who's who. We
Well,
need a map of who is who and literally who is who.
right, fair housing is a federal funding, and fair housing would, every state has, they call it something different in each state, but they they have housing money that comes in for the, and they have to follow the Fair Housing Act. Um, and it comes like wherever your Section 8s come from,
For the
or
city here, it's HOCLA, Housing Authority, for
okay,
the city
so
of
that's
LA.
the housing authority is who would be responsible for the fair housing enforcement.
All right, then we need to contact HOCLA.
Okay, because I know each state, each city has different
Yeah,
names for them,
but
but
we
it's
do
your
have
housing authority.
yeah, we do have advocacy housing because housing is a huge issue in LA. We have tens of thousands of unhoused people, so housing is a really huge topic here. So I'm wondering if these advocacy groups might be willing to help as well in some level if we can get their interest. Like it doesn't hurt to get people who are already lobbyists interested in the cause because they already have the contacts and the know what they're doing. And if we can bring them into this situation, you never know, they might be willing to help.
And as I said, I really apologize for the rabbit that jumps around in my brain, but I have one more avenue to throw at this. Sir Crepitus and I have talked about this in the past, is that because of the aging population of the Sea Org and the staff members, those that are living in that, and you see it, lots of people are with the hunchbacks and the older people. You saw the oh, hold on, let me take a drink. You saw somebody was doing a breathing treatment in right there at the little cafe where one of the Sea Org members or the staff members was getting a breathing treatment ready for an older guy. So, yes, Joy, I will do that. So, one of the things that, if this just popped into my head, and I can't find it anywhere, but I have a gut feeling that they've turned some of those dormitories into memory or long-term care units.
Oh,
So that way they can steal, and I say that very profoundly, steal the Social Security or the SSI of those receiving them as elderly. Because as long-term care or a memory care, or if you're in the hospital, a residential, then they can take all of your income, whether it's your retirement, your Social
true.
Security
Hmm.
disability, everything but $50 in California.
Yeah, that's
Now,
true.
I know I'm
Yeah,
right because that's,
you are.
that's very, very. So if they've turned some of those apartments or rooms into memory, long-term care, or residential centers, they can appropriate and take. They can keep their old elderly there and take all their money.
And not
Not like
treat
they
them
were
well.
paying them to begin with, but now the situation's reversed and now they're taking their money.
But a lot of them, would they even get Social Security? Well, I guess they would get
Eh,
the version that's based on income, not
S
yeah, because they wouldn't
SSI
get
or S
the
if it's SSI, I think it's like $900 a month or something like that.
I think it's 11. Yeah, 11.
It's
Or well, I
whatever it
always
is
get them
now, I
mixed
know
up
it
which
might
is
have changed.
which.
And Social
But
Security, they all had, remember, they were getting their Social Security taken out of their $50 a week, which is why it was only $47.
oh, so
They've
they
been
are
get
paying into the system. Okay, that was the question because people saying they weren't paying into the system. Okay, that's
So they
interesting.
paid into the system,
Good to
and
know.
now they would get the minimum of, I think, 1,200 bucks a month for Social Security disability or Social
It's like
Security.
1,300 for the if the kind you invest in is like 1,300.
And
The one that's
so
income based is about 1,100.
so if Scientology had eligible qualified rooms dedicated to take care of them under a long-term care, they could take that $1,300 except for 50 of every
Well,
single one of those elderly people.
the building was a hospital, so I'm sure it's well equipped to do that. That's interesting. We need to look into that too. But before I forget, Sir Crepitus was mentioning that somebody said that they don't do anything on Sundays. I want to add to that. Like I know in back in I don't know. Like I heard that the North Hollywood one, because they have a big amplifier. I was told that they do have some kind of service on Sundays. I don't know if it's true or not. I want to go out there on a Sunday to see if they are coming and going and what it is or whatever. But I was told by somebody in because that they do at that one location, but I don't know if it's true.
Yeah, and they seem to have, well, they can define legally their movie viewings, their real org or deal ideal orgs viewings, openings, they can classify them as religious services. Now, we all know that it's a ruse, but they can, because in their legal paperwork, it does define as anything. Anything they do is religious service. I mean, I saw that the other day, and I'd have to pull that paperwork back up, but I went, oh, it was in, oh no, Nora was looking through the legal contract of the new staff in the Sea Org. Um, but they define anything as religious services.
Well, all they did then was take our megaphones. Big whoop. We're still there. I think really that's all they did.
Yeah.
But we're loud. I mean, I think we're loud. We could be loud on our own. I know I don't need a megaphone.
No, but it's any intent to disturb a religious service, but then
True.
they have to prove that it was a religious service, that it was disrupting the religious service.
Well, but the intent is only at state level. For the amplification, there's no intent involved. It's just disruption without. It's not even adding. I don't see, unless I mean I'm willing to be proven wrong if I'm
Yeah.
mistaken. But when I was reading the city, there's not even intent. It's just making noise that's disruptive. But they don't go against, like, they're right across from nightclubs. And what about that? So that's okay. You know,
That plays the music louder than anything that
yeah.
DOA was yelling. Yeah, I know.
But if he's, what if he's okay, and what about the content of it? Like, say if he is ordained and he's just having his own church service, you know, like, and it's not anti-Scientology at all. It's just what I mean. I wonder, like, but then again, you have to risk being arrested to have that go to court to see how that adjudicates, and I don't suggest that for anybody. But interesting question.
Yeah. Well, I think it continues of do as I say, not as I do, or do as, you know what I'm talking about. Laws for thee and not for me.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I just thought, as I said, I thought I would get on live and touch some of the stuff that's just really going, how the hell is that coming through? Or that just doesn't make sense. And just kind of just thoughts to start sparking other areas that we can gnat them with.
I love it. Keep that bunny in your brain going. Feed them well. Give them lots of good juicy carrots,
Or
because
stick
this
them
is
out in the
great
pole barn.
stuff. It gives, like, and then we have to put down an actual plan of what to do next. But I love, getting all these ideas out there, and then, food for thought for all of us to, well, okay, what's next?
Yeah, and for the next couple of days, at least till I think the 9th, maybe going by every couple of days or whoever's there happen to ask the police. And I guess they don't have the police for the whole time.
They don't for the
It's
whole 9 days.
no for the whole days because I guess they didn't have the capacity to have the cops, so they had to hire private security for like from 4 to 9 or 4 to 11
I
every
thought it's
day.
required. Well, the filming one, sorry, like the filming one might be different. The film has, and that's another thing I'd like to look at, the difference in the rules for the film LA closures versus the special event Streets LA closures. That might be an interesting thing to compare and contrast, and getting it listed out.
Yeah, when they may have to have it, but the city, the LAPD was not available for the whole time. So they had to hire private
Okay.
for some hours of the days. So
I,
that was
I
kind of, which
I find that
to me,
odd
that
though,
was
because
like,
I
they've
think
never
that
done
the
that
cops.
before, I don't think.
I find it odd. Okay, that's like, if the police are saying we don't have, because it's on their off time. They have like 8,000, almost 9,000 cops, whatever it is. They love to do the overtime. They're, in the metro. So I find it weird that they're saying that they don't have the manpower to do it.
That's what it says on the permit. So
That's
um,
interesting.
it is interesting. I think, maybe they're starting to pull back a little bit.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
That'd be that'd be funny.
There might be some pressure from the top down. I.e. the IG,
Bye,
or
Sir Crepitus. Thank you.
I've never met him. Nice to meet you, Sir Francis. Um, yeah, so that's interesting. That is something, because I find that hard to believe. I find that impossible to believe, actually, that they don't have officers. There's something going on. There's something a brew.
Yeah, so they had to hire private security.
Good, good.
I think it's funnier than hell, but
I
whatever.
know. I love it. I need to get down there. I'm hoping the stuff kicks in, and I can be like not dizzy or whatever, and so I can get down there. But
So I
yeah,
think, just being for the next week while they have the sidewalks closed, when you can get down there or if somebody else can get down there, maybe being a thorn in the side, saying, "Oh, well, where's the alternate path of travel?" Doesn't matter if you're in a chair or not. Ask,
True.
hey, I have a friend that's in a wheelchair. Where would they go? And start asking the questions.
True.
And if you're live or if you're streaming, get it on stream. Let's
Yeah. Well,
let's
I
put them
definitely
on
want to get
notice.
down there. Yeah, I just need like a day or two. But when is the actual festival hours? For where they're in there, um, the tents,
Uh,
booths or whatever. Do we know that
I
so I
would
can plan?
somebody had posted the circulars for it, the advertisement for it. I'd have to find it.
Okay, but it's more of a daytime event than the nighttime.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can do that. And boy, it's 4 o'clock my time almost. That means
Well,
it's 1 o'clock your time.
almost. But
Yeah, I can't.
eventually.
I'm
Oh,
ex excited for that convoy to get going.
yeah, I know. I can't wait. I wish I could be down there, but I'll at least watch it, and I'm interested. This is gonna. It's interesting. It's What
Yeah, I
do you
would.
have any? What are your expectations, or do you not want to say? Like, do you have any thoughts on how it's going to play out?
I don't know. Well, I have no idea where it's starting because I don't think it's been mentioned where it's starting,
Mm,
and I don't know how they're going to get around on L. Ron Hubbard, so they'd have to probably maybe go around a different block, and I don't know the area, so I don't know. But
They can go
do
down.
I?
Was that Vermont? What? No, I forget that side street. The one that. Yeah, I don't think it's
With
Vermont.
all of this coming down, and I'm going to go ahead and point at the bleachers where I'm going to hit this ball, is Scientology is freaking the F out.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. But
Yeah,
I'm wondering how they're going to respond. You think well, they're obviously going to call the police. I'm sure.
they know about it. You know they know about it.
But do they know how big it is or small it is? Like, do we even know?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It
I
could
can't
be
wait.
2 cars, it could be 200 cars, who knows? I'm
Right.
hoping it's, 20 cars.
That's the number I had in my head. Yeah.
Yeah.
To make it, you want it to have a significant impact. Interesting. And then where's the barbecue? They're doing barbecue afterwards. Where is that set up on Fountain?
Yes. Fountain is down where the bus goes in all the time, right?
Correct.
In the parking garage.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's Fountain. Yeah, that's where they're at. They're in front of that nail salon,
Oh, okay.
right next to the hotel where the bus or where the van goes in.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, they did have a flyer on it, Joy, and did Sue Percole, I think, posted it on her community page. If you are in hers, let me see if I can find it real quick.
Super cool. She's awesome. She's looking
Okay.
into this.
Obviously that didn't work. Crap. I'll find it. But there is a flyer that is out for the event. And there's also an event tonight over at the Celebrity Center. And that's the one that I had found the first permit for. And they have all the parking around it blocked off because they're expecting a whole bunch of old people. And the old people need all the disability spots. Not that there's a lot of disability spots, anyways.
No, there's no. It's not. We are in a parking crisis here too. And now they're building these huge buildings with no parking. They're letting them build without any parking. It's crazy. Anyway, that's another tangent.
That is pretty crazy. Okay, Audit, I'm gonna let you get back
Right.
to drinking some hot honey tea
Yes.
and,
Thank you. Thank you.
starting to feel better. Thank you so much, everybody, and CJ, if you're still on, thank you so much. He sent me a thing for my chair, so that way I can hook my camera up to it,
Oh,
an arm.
awesome.
Oh, it's so sweet, so, so sweet.
That is awesome. I didn't even know they had that. That's incredible.
I I didn't know either, so it's really cool. So I'm gonna get it hooked up and maybe I'll be able to get out tonight or tomorrow and go try it out.
Awesome, Phil. Thank you for having me on, and we'll be in touch with all this stuff for next
All
steps.
right.
All right. Bye,
Have a
everyone.
great time.
Thanks, you
Bye.
too. Bye.